Hello dan selamat datang ke episod keempat Smart Talk bersama saya Joanna dan saya pada hari ini akan membawakan episod yang akan memfokuskan pada organisasi yang memastikan progres yang luar biasa dalam memastikan kesaksamaan gender di Sabah. Dan bersama saya hari ini adalah dua wakil dari Serata yang di mana kita akan mendalami isu kesaksamaan gender mengenai cabaran budaya, institusi yang dihadapi oleh wanita dan juga lelaki serta cadangan dan strategi untuk mengatasinya. Dan bersama saya uh, yang berbaju warna ungu di sini Puan Sabrina Melissa Aripen. Dia adalah pengasas dan pengerusi Serata, sebuah organisasi ataupun NGO di Kota Kinabalu yang berdedikasi untuk mempromosikan kesaksamaan gender dan merungkai peranan jantina yang dibina secara sosial. Dan beliau juga memberikan tumpuan kepada perubahan persepsi terhadap penjagaan ibu bapa di Malaysia dan memperjuangkan peranan bapa dalam keluarga, dan beliau telah menerima pengiktirafan atas kerjanya termasuk anugerah pencapaian community 2018 oleh Majlis Alumni Australia Malaysia. Selamat datang Puan Sabrina.
Terima kasih.
Okey. Dan di sebelah sana adalah Jennifer James Amandus, right? Dan beliau adalah pegawai program Serata yang juga mempromosikan advocacy dan kesedaran mengenai Ordinance Buruh Sabah, dan beliau kini mempengerusikan simposium mengenai hak pekerja di Sabah yang akan datang. Jadi terima kasih Jennifer juga bersama-sama pada hari ini. Ya, okay. So bagi memulakan diskusi kita lah ataupun our discussion for today, mungkin kita boleh melihat lah, right? Kita mengimbas kembali masa ataupun progres terhadap hak wanita yang bermula, saya rasa bermula pada penghujung abad ke-19. Right? And then namun kita dalam 2023 ni pun kita masih berhadapan dengan diskriminasi wanita ni. Right? So peluang sama rata untuk lelaki sama wanita ni adalah kiranya hak asasi manusia ini. Right? Tetapi kita melihat secara total bahawa banyak halangan yang lebih tinggi berbanding dengan lelaki wanita lah, ya, terutamanya dalam penyertaan in the labour force, diskriminasi terhadap hak reproduktif, right? And kekurangan ini adalah antaranya adalah kekurangan juga perwakilan mungkin dalam arena politik juga, ya, berbanding lelaki di seluruh dunia. Jadi masyarakat sekarang ini seperti Serata lah now, right? You are seen to be very, very vocal about this. I mean, there are many other NGOs as well who are very vocal about this. Tentang apa yang dihadapi oleh wanita atau diskriminasi wanita sekarang. Jadi sebenarnya apa sebenarnya isu gender ni? Selalu kita dengar apa kesaksamaan gender, ketidaksesamaan gender, hak wanita dan sebagainya. Jadi mungkin Puan Sabrina mungkin boleh terangkan apakah sebenarnya isu gender ini dan apa cabaran sehingga kan kesamarataan gender ini terlalu besar gap dia di dalam pelbagai arena.
Okey. Terima kasih Joanna untuk soalan ini. Pertama sekali saya rasa kita harus tengok pada asasnya sekali lah. Asasnya sekali sebab kita memandangkan kaum perempuan sama kaum lelaki adalah berbeza. Dia bermula sebelum anak tu lahir lagi sudah kita ada persepsi lah. Kalau perempuan nanti dia punya gaya macam mana, lelaki gaya dia macam mana. Kalau kita bilang baby tu perempuan kan nanti keluar kita bilang oh ini pelembut ni, dia nanti pakai penyayang, pakai pink. Kalau dia ngam-ngam kakak lagi, oh ini nanti boleh jaga dia punya adik. Sudah ada tu persepsi. Ya, stereotype okay. Awal-awal lagi sudah ada stereotype. Jadi macam saya bilang dari asas lah sebenarnya because kita punya stereotype ni kan sangat keras lah kalau saya mau bilang. Sebab walaupun kita bilang ekonomi kita sekarang semakin meleset, jadi dalam satu keluarga kan laki bini dua-dua pun mesti kerja di luar, kalau tidak macam mana dong mau survive lah.
Correct.
In this society kan. Tetapi kita punya masyarakat punya mindset masih di mana perempuan tu harus di rumah, harus jaga anak, harus menjaga rumah, jaga orang tua. It's that expectation lah. So the whole foundation about this is about the expectation that we place on women lah. Jadi even masa kerja, macam saya bilang tadi lah, mungkin mana kau tahu kan bini sekalinya rupanya yang lebih tinggi gaji dia. Mungkin dia lebih tinggi gajinya. Tapi lepas tu lelaki pula terasa macam insecure. Dia bilang, ataupun mungkin dia tidak insecure tapi dia punya rakan-rakan, dia punya keluarga tengok, kok okey kah tu? Kau punya bini lebih lebih gaji tinggi. And then employers pun sama jugalah, sad to say kan. Let's say macam apa-apa berkenaan sama anak, kalau dia punya employee perempuan, dia bilang ini nanti dia cuti beranak, nanti dia cuti tu kalau anak sakit, susah lah mau rely on women.
Yeah, like hak reproduktif lah betul tadi kan.
Hak reproduktif. Jadi macam gitu. Yang tapi lelaki pula, dia orang tidak kena expect jaga anak. Kalau bini beranak, biarlah kau punya bini okey batu. Kau punya bini cuti okey, kau tak payahlah cuti. Tak payah, kau boleh nanti jaga anak bila nanti kau rehat nanti. Barulah kau ada time mo sama anak. Jadi macam you don't put the same amount of expectation on the men lah.
Correct.
Ada Jen mau tambah apa-apa?
Yeah, just to add on that lah, memang betul juga. When we talk about gender equality, the co-ownership of the issue mesti dari dua-dua pihak lah.
Okay.
Yeah, so memang sudah terangkan juga yang women banyak menghadapi diskriminasi di mana-mana tempat, whether it's di rumah ataupun di tempat kerja, tetapi di mana-mana pun akan menghadapi discrimination in any level lah, like in all kinds of ways. Ya, itu saja semua tambah.
So if you're talking about like asas ataupun tadi kita Sabrina cakap pasal dia punya foundation tu kan, meaning it's a societal punya perception Benny, right?
Betul.
Jadi boleh kita cakap, does it is it because that kita ini we live in a societal framework yang very patriarchal?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that why is it that the perception is always macam women must be like this and and dia punya stereotyping bah?
Yeah. I also think macam yang we live in a society that believes in binaries, you're either man or you're woman, and then have that expectation of what a woman should be and what should a man be.
Right.
Begitu bah. Jadi macam yang kalau perempuan even dia kerja office pun, kau rasa yang bikin kopi, yang kasih kalau ada tetamu datang pergi office, siapa yang layan biasanya? Siapa yang kena tanya?
Yep.
Kan it's ada macam what we call macam jadi it's unpaid because it's not actually in your job description, tapi
Right.
it's expected of you to do that.
It's the expectation, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, whether it's an Asian culture ka ataupun maybe Western culture pun, I think it goes across the globe ni, isu perkara seperti ini kan. So, I think there's also an element di mana mungkin when you talk about gender, could it be because you said it's binary and it's only men and women, but could it be satu perspektif tu kan, you see biological is different, but gender is different, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? I mean,
Yes.
biology, I mean, you can't change who you are, right? I mean, either you're a, XX or XY kan? Yeah.
Betul.
But then kalau macam gender ini, it's more like,
Yeah, it's a spectrum lah.
so I think that is something that the society needs to understand Benny sekarang kan?
Yeah, that's why lah macam even when we discuss
Yeah.
behaviors of women, it doesn't mean that semua perempuan sama kan. Kalau kita semua sama memang boring lah kan. Of course like God made us like binary, binary as in a spectrum. Jadi there might be some parts of you that are stronger, some parts of you that are less So for example, kalau bilang things like femininity lah, like being really feminine. Some people are more feminine than others kan.
Correct.
Tidak semestinya sama.
Yeah.
Gitu.
But biologically, it still doesn't change you lah kan.
Yeah,
So
biologically doesn't change you lah.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I think yang perlu difahami oleh masyarakat di sana bahawa biology dan gender itu dua perkara yang berbeza lah kan.
Yeah.
So talking about yang macam tadi Sabrina cakap about yang women ini kan expect pergi masak di dapur. Pandai
Yeah.
masak nasi dia bilang.
Yeah.
So, and then kena expect jaga anak. I think yalah daripada sudut pandang mikro, wanita ini ada tanggungjawab hakiki dia lebih ini. Kiranya
Yeah.
lah. Kan kononnya begitu, right? So naratif dia ni tetap mengatakan bahawa, I mean we look at it, kita tengok dalam satu perspektif yang lebih luas lah. Let's look at the policies or you know the how the societal framework, the policy frameworks that we see di negara kita ataupun iyalah di negara-negara luar, di mana wanita ini sentiasa dilihat memerlukan bantuan kebajikan. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is always what I see, like bantuan wanita.
Yeah.
Right? And peruntukan always disasarkan kepada keluarga dan wanita ini mungkin sering dikaitkan dengan always pemberian modal.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know, but that is
betul.
how I see it lah. So kiranya macam wanita ini dilihat macam sumber manusia yang berperanan untuk keluarga dan masyarakat siapa ini kiranya begitu.
Tapi I also feel macam saya punya perasaan lah. Saya
Yeah.
selalu rasa macam women kan seen as a charity case, you know, like mesti kesian bah dia, tolonglah dia tu, kasihlah dia ini semua. Before thinking that actually some women are quite capable.
Yes.
It's a very systemic obstacle lah. From expectation placed on them, and then certain things like, for example lah, kalau if I were to say about the workplace lah in a whole kan, the 9 to 5 kan, it's a model that was based on yang macam orang laki saja yang pergi kerja, perempuan tinggal di rumah, yang masa dulu-dulu lah, zaman dulu-dulu. So it's not fitting for the society now because we need more flexibility. Sebab sekarang dua-dua pun mau jaga anak kan, tapi we still have that mindset that kalau kau kerja saja tu macam kau tidak anak. And kalau kau ada anak, macam you work as if you don't have kids, and you have ada batu dia punya saying begitu, yang but you have kids as if you have no work begitu.
Okay.
Macam mana lah you want to tarik, you know,
Right.
which side do you pull yourself?
Right.
Or Jen, do you wanna?
I think in the part about program-program kebajikan
Yeah,
for
yes.
women.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention also sebab banyak program yang ada kalau in terms of bagi insentif kah ataupun program
Memperkasakan. Yeah.
memperkasakan wanita kan.
Okay.
It's all macam let's say the very stereotypical programs like sewing or cooking or things that are macam
Buat kek.
buat kek, bikin baju. Not to say that these are programs that are not useful. These are very good programs juga.
Correct.
Cuma now when we look at younger generation lah, let's say younger generations are a lot more capable dari segi ada ada kesedaran tentang hak-hak dorang sendirilah, ataupun they want to find work that is challenging, whether it's masuk banking kan, masuk apa kan, tetapi dorang semua ada higher education already, so they want to be challenged with a lot of different program lah. Dari segi politik pun it's an option already bah untuk
Women joining lah.
Yeah, women joining.
Participation.
Yeah, participation.
Yeah.
Tetapi I think in terms of the programs that are available to them are still macam kurang sikit. In terms
Right.
of like leadership. Ada, tetapi I think those are the kind of programs yang patut
Diperkasakan lagi lah.
diperkasakan lagi lah, especially untuk generasi muda.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
So meaning kita bukan menidakkan program-program seperti ini sebab iyalah where you have women who have all these talents, especially in the interiors, kita tengok diorang ni very good in apa nama dia tu, craft macam sewing, bukan sewing menjahit lah, yang maksud saya yang macam beads menyulam and stuff. So kita bukan menidakkan perkara seperti ini, cuma mungkin apa yang boleh kita buat adalah untuk memperluaskan lagi dia punya scope tu. Bukan memasak, bukan bikin kek, bukan menjahit saja dia bilang.
Bikin laba kereta kah?
Iyalah. Tapi yalah, I think part of the reason is, yalah betul juga lah. Kalau dia minat bikin kereta pun, why not, right?
Kita tidak pernah tanya orang pun, kita assume saja.
Okay. So mungkin boleh cerita sedikit, in how NGO has been how many years right now? Serata.
This is coming to
5
years.
5 years, right? And maybe have you mungkin pernah melalui or encountered any like experiences of where women or in the kampung or whatsoever, dorang mau pergi dalam satu satu bidang lah dia minat, tapi kena dapat halangan bilang tidak boleh pasal kamu ini perempuan. Have you encountered this kind of situation perhaps?
Actually I have but this is not with Serata lah dulu.
Okay.
Sebelum ni saya kerja NGO juga. I won't say what NGO, tetapi ini community memang saya sangat sayang di Kiulu. Ulu Kiulu.
Okay.
Saya sangat sayang ini community. Ini community sebenarnya dia punya demografik tidak banyak belia bah. Jadi kami membuat program yang let's say community empowerment lah punya program, whether it's rice transplantation,
Okay.
ataupun lain-lain program lah.
Okay.
So one of the programs that was to do with women lah,
Okay.
B40 women di sana.
Right.
Lagipun kami cuba try jugalah kasih bangunkan group of women leaders dalam itu community, sebab memang dorang di sana saja, dorang tidak ada kerja di luar kah, apakah jaga anak semua. And bila kami suggest, kamu punya idea semua sangat bagus, tetapi kenapa kamu tidak mau bawa pergi ketua kampung, for example lah.
Okay.
Tidak payahlah tuh, nanti kami tidak mau bersuara kalau ada ketua kampung. Usually ketua kampung is lelaki lah kan.
Of course lah, yeah.
Yes, but dorang takut. One is takut, tidak mau bersuara ataupun, tapi biarpun dorang takut kan, they have all these ideas. Bila dorang sama-sama, they are actually very capable women, banyak idea dan banyak macam semangat untuk bikin program handicraft lah sebenarnya, handicraft kah atau ni semua kan.
Okay.
And sampai tahap yang mau berbisnes lagi, berbisnes sendiri, begini-begini semua. Tetapi bila mau buat, mana tahu ada orang lain lagi berminat kan, mana tahu kamu boleh pitch sama ketua kampung. Tapi ada yang rasa takut, endahlah saya tidak mau lah. So maybe it's that they see it as someone who is above that which they
More
shouldn't.
superior lah
More
kiranya.
superior, jadi kenapa? So a lot of the times that is the dynamic lah kalau di
Right.
community.
And then I think sebab saya ni pun, okay, when you talk about yang apa tadi, yang itu pasal saya takut mau bersuara, dia bilang. I think ini yang saya pun banyak berhadapan dengan suara-suara beginilah, di mana dia bilang, saya tidak berani, dia bilang. So would you think for us to change this narrative, kan, the whole narrative, it seems like leadership ini perlu didahulukan sebelum perkara-perkara lain macam yang memasak apa, sebab let's say for example you mentioned just now Jennifer pasal itu dia mau buat business. Before you even want to do a business, kan, you must have that leadership in you
Betul.
to actually to start
Betul.
a business or
Yeah.
to do your handicraft business and stuff like that. So would you think that kalau kita mau buat satu perubahan ataupun an institutional reform, but of course it start from the grassroots dulu lah,
Ya,
kiranya
betul.
kita pergi grassroots.
Ya.
I think isu Deni pun di grassroots dulu Benny kan,
Yes.
and then it goes up
Yes.
kan.
Yeah.
I think it goes both ways lah,
Both
dari atas
ways.
ke bawah,
Yeah.
bawah ke atas lah kan. Would you think that the crux of yang boleh diberikan penekanan adalah fokus on leadership dulu?
Yes. I don't know. For me personally, saya rasa
Yeah.
dari segi leadership. Sebab sekarang masih lagi there's that barrier there where
Correct.
they don't want to overstep their boundaries lah. So
Right.
that is the stereotype and that is the culture that they grow up with, maybe. But me personally, I find that leadership penting. And biarpun maybe kalau start dari muda kan, dia dibangunkan sama-sama, they
Correct.
will have the same
Level playing field
level
lah.
playing field. Yeah, the same level playing field.
Correct.
So there is that built understanding there lah. Kalau dia
Yeah.
mau membangunkan diri sendiri dari segi jadi pemimpin kah, apakah yang berani bersuara ni semua penting dari awal lagi. That leadership actually is a factor that is sangat penting.
Itu yang paling, I think this is something that I think all of us, myself, each and every one of us maybe have to also help to focus on this too kan. Because itulah saya berfikir kan, saya bilang, kenapa lah kalau diorang ada ada sijil lah, apalah, tapi kalau kau simpan untuk sendiri saja, kasih gantung di rumah, you can't do anything. Because I think you need to have that leadership. Mungkin orang pikir selalu leadership ini dia bilang kan mau jadi bos lah, mau jadi YB lah, mau jadi ketua kampung lah, JPKK lah kan. Tapi leadership ni sebenarnya banyak maksud dia. Leadership for yourself kan, how you want to push yourself. You have to lead yourself. Itu nama dia lead kan, pull yourself begitu kan. So I think this is something that maybe for us to change the narrative. I don't know. This is just like a thought. Suddenly came up. Perhaps we could have a focus more on leadership. Baru perkara lain. Create that space for these women to really propel. Yeah. What do you think, Sabrina?
I don't know. I think it's also like macam what we call imposter syndrome. Actually, dong boleh batu, tapi just dong tidaklah. Mungkin dong maybe as Jen was saying lah kan macam they feel that they are below, and then the person that they're talking to is higher status kah mungkin,
Right.
yang make them feel like they cannot. So also confidence lah kan.
Confidence.
Yeah.
But still it goes back to leadership juga
Ya,
lah.
leadership juga lah.
Yeah.
It's like, who else? Mungkin kita mau cakap, kalau bukan kau siapa lagi gitu. Kalau bukan sekarang, bila lagi gitu.
Kau pergilah.
Paksa begitu.
Terus yang kau lah tidak mau lagi malu saya. No, but yeah, I mean bless them. But I think that's a very very good I think cerita lah yang kita boleh simpulkan.
I just wanted to share yang masa kami di Kelantan. So it was so weird lah. We were invited to buat gender sensitization kan di Kelantan. And we were with this group of women, young students lah kan. And then mula-mula macam malu betul. Macam mau cakap pun macam gini-gini suara dia kecil-kecil gitu. And then funnily by the end of the workshop kan, we had a group discussion. And then bila dorang buat presentation, punya confident. Kami bilang, ini orang sama kah yang dari tadi pagi kami jumpa. So maybe sometimes mungkin they just need a bit of coaxing lah to get it out.
I think ini pun saya rasa, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know, but sometimes, personally, I feel it sometimes kan. Kau mau juga ada kawan mau kasih tau, kau gitu, dia bilang ini kan.
Betul.
Ya.
Ya, tapi saya selalu kena begitu. Macam, janganlah, tidak payahlah. Macam saya tidak. Salah satu imposter syndrome juga. Macam tadi juga, macam tiba-tiba saya join ini podcast. Oke kan nih, nanti saya cakap yang tidak nih. Because you need that. Mau ada that push. Because when not just for this kind of event, tapi kalau dulu mana saya berani mau cakap my thoughts and my opinions begini. Saya you know you should begini. Sekarang mau ada still need that push, but at the very least saya ada sudah sedikit macam confidence boost sedikit lah, because of my peers, they're the ones that like, Jen, kau pandai tu, kau beli tu. Kalau kau tidak sekarang, nanti kau tidak dapat, next time lagi kamu buat speech ini semua tidak dapat tuh, kau buat saja. Lepas tu yang takut tu semua lain belakang cerita.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The first thing is to take
Put
the first
yourself
step
out there.
ni kan.
Yeah. The first step is always the hardest.
I think kalau saya boleh tambah lah kali, for us to reach critical mass ini kan, we need more women juga to support.
That's true.
To support other women, because at the end of the day, yes, I know this is a woman agenda. Of course, we need the men too, but it's still a women agenda, and we need us women to really support each other.
Yes.
For us to reach that critical mass. So let's look into another angle about the policies that we have. I realize that Serata ini sedang giat lah kan, berusaha. Saya tengok TikTok, saya tengok kamu punya Instagram, setiap kali kamu post something, oi like, saya like itu semua. Jadi bergiat untuk meningkatkan pemahaman lah, terutamanya ini undang-undang ordinance buruh di Sabah. Dan mungkin ramai kita tidak tahu di sana bahawa di Sabah sendiri, kalau di West Malaysia mereka menggunakan Akta Kerja Employment Act 1955, right?
Yeah.
But it does not apply to Sabah and Sarawak. We have our own ordinance buruh ni kan. Tahun berapa tu?
50.
1950.
Even before Malaysian
Formation of Malaysian. Yeah. So kita ada ordinance buruh kita sendiri, and I can see, as we can see here di depan kita ini, this is your the project that you have done, thriving in space, in workspace, is it?
Thriving spaces.
Thriving spaces, yes. So mungkin, and I think ini satu isu juga lah yang mungkin kita mau kupas dan kita huraikan, sebab sukar bah untuk ini policy makers untuk menyokong undang-undang dan dasar mengenai keserataan gender ni, kalau kita perasan. Contoh macam Sexual Harassment Act from 2001. It started off, I think, maybe earlier than that, but 2001. Then baru last year kena implement. It's so long kan. Lepas tu Akta Keganasan Rumah Tangga in the 90s, early 90s. It took so long for the implementation of the act. Dan sekarang ini, like what you all doing right now is for the Sabah Labour Ordinance Act. And you're working on that, and I have to comment on that. This is something that we need people like you, talking about this and make people understand that, like, hey, look, masa sudah berubah ini, gila. Dia bilang gila gitu. Bagus, mesti kau ikut bah peredaran zaman kan. Kita bukan tinggal di zaman batu lagi nih.
Ya bah.
Memang Sabah pun mana boleh ketinggalan ini kan. Employment Act pun dia orang sudah amend kan. So yeah, maybe you can hurai ataupun talk a bit about this.
Okay. So mula-mula yang kami understood about this lah kan, was because there was that case yang public department kan, yang ada sexual harassment,
Right.
and then orang dia macam dia takut betul mau come forward to buat report,
Okay.
but then when they did make a report, macam dia lambat sudah bah, jadi tu polis pun macam buruk sangka sama yang the person who was reporting the sexual harassment.
Alright.
But anyway, we couldn't really do much because it's a public department. So yang paling-paling kami boleh buat pun just raise it during the DUN session lah.
Okay.
To question. But then we realize kan macam itu public sector. Tapi kalau when we talk about swasta kan, banyak bah case actually yang orang kena sexually harassed, tapi they either choose terus pergi resign dari membuat report lah.
Okay.
First of all, because company dia memang kecil, kalau dia buat report pun memang ketara siapa yang buat report kan.
Yeah.
Jadi dong pun takut saja. So we were like thinking macam yang tu hari yang saya jumpa sama kau kan, yang pasal tu kan, yang and then we realize Sabah Labour Ordinance actually tiada pula tu because in yang the federal akta kerja tu kan dia punya section about sexual harassment yang di mana tu majikan harus membuat dia have to do inquiry lah kalau ada macam ada report of sexual harassment. Tapi terus terfikir, kita ada pula buruh, ordinance buruh Sabah. Terus terfikir-fikir. Actually, yang 18 tahun tu kami tidak tahu at first lah. Just like, let's look lah what actually, macam how do we protect the women di Sabah ni? Because we want women punya representation in the workplace to be higher lah. Because kita quite low, the number of women that work. Jadi kami mau jadi we have to change the way workplaces are supaya rasa selamat, so they feel comfortable to come to work, begitu. And then we did all this workshop lah, mau panggil lah semua orang buat taklimat sama kami.
Okay.
And then that's when we realize, I actually asked the question lah, actually this Sabah Labour Ordinance bila dia kena amend 2005, dia bilang, berapa kali boleh kena amend ni? Baru 1 kali. Hah? Terus yang macam saya terkejut, terus yang betul-betul terbuka saya punya
pikiran lah masa tu.
2005 is like 18 years ago. What do you mean? We haven't
I was still in high school.
So yang 2012 yang actually was when the inclusion of the sexual harassment section in the Akta Kerja, the Employment Act, that was in 2012. So Sabah was actually supposed to follow suit lah.
Okay.
Tetapi it never happened.
Right.
Yeah. So for the Akta Kerja, actually they amend at least every 10 years ada something. Yes. Sabah langsung tiada. So we macam betul-betul ketinggalan lah. Whatever amendment never made it for the Sabah Labour Ordinance or the Sarawak punya lah.
Right.
Because they keep saying, nanti not to blame anyone lah, but they did a lot of consultation, which took a long time. And they have to consider many things lah, because labor is although it's a Sabah punya issue, it's federal. It's federal, meaning kita tidak boleh tukar di DUN. Kita perlu tukar dia di parlimen.
Parlimen, yeah.
Yeah.
But you've been actively doing this. I've seen that you've been doing ada roundtables kan. Starting very actively because I've been following quite a lot on this. Because untuk pengetahuan penonton, me and Sabrina dulu kita berjumpa 2 years ago, and also about this issue, right? About the Sabah Labour Ordinance. Because I at that time pun ada case juga masa tu sexual harassment, and I was thinking to myself. And I was going through one of the very senior prominent lawyers here in Sabah, a lady lawyer, and then she came out saying about the Sabah Labour Ordinance has never been updated. Then I was thinking to myself, I said, exactly. I'm like, how come?
That time my otak belum lagi berapa absorb that time. But then I've been working a lot about fathers kan. Fathers right to paternity leave. So saya sana I've been promoting paternity leave, and then suddenly KL, Akta Kerja they improve kan. They said we have 7 days. Terus saya okay. Terus saya bilang not including Sabah and Sarawak. Hah? Terus begini
Sabah Sabah ni kan, this is one of the things that you are also fighting, right?
Terus jadi I've been fighting all this time for other people. What about
Sabah? What about your own house? I mean Sarawak, is Sarawak, but Sabah macam mana kan? So that's why when I also got interested with this, because I started off looking at it. I say, tidak pernah kena update, and then although I have a legal background, tapi the law is so huge lah. You know what I mean? You don't really look into one particular area. So then I'm like, itulah tu, di sana juga kita berjumpa kan masa tu. I was like, I was in shock. I'm like, di Sabah pakai Sabah Labour Ordinance. I'm like, okay. Okay. And then di sanalah saya sama Sabrina berkenal pada masa itu. And again, it is about this, which is why I'm calling you and Jane for us to, walaupun impromptu lah masuk sini kan, because she's working on this. That's why I really want to focus on this, because this is the issue that brought us to meet
Yeah.
each other 2 years ago about this. But of course, I have to say congratulations, the good job for, Serata who are continuing this, and I'm really behind you all on this kind of on this matter.
Yeah.
So kalau kita cakap tentang di Sabah lah, why is it taking so long? I mean, yeah, as coming back to my question just now, I mean, you've been doing your round table actively since May kan, kalau saya tidak silap.
Earlier lah.
Earlier.
I think February was it?
Mhm.
Oh, March, yeah.
So right, but it has been very since early active this year, right? How is the response from from the society let's see the whole society lah across the board.
Okay. Maybe I pass it to Jen because she's the one who did this whole nice
Right.
report. Dia yang bekerja.
Tidak lah, it's a group effort juga. Tetapi
Okay.
bila when you're talking about societal punya feedback,
Right.
sebab memang banyak juga stakeholder yang kami jumpa,
Okay.
whether it's agency, government agency kah, ataupun employer association kah, dan because we are now active di social media, the public juga, the general public juga affected.
Yeah.
The first thing is memang ramai tidak tahu lah yang ya kah kami we are not entitled to these things yang di Semenanjung sudah ada. But when it comes to talking about the law, when we meet these agencies, memang dorang pun yang okay, kamu NGO mau cerita pasal labor law, they are not as can I say this kah? I mean, I guess we are trying to make them understand also that we are here to help in terms of disseminating
To assist
the
lah,
knowledge
kan?
and
Yes.
assist. Sebab saya tahu memang dorang ada banyak lagi dorang mau fikir in
Correct.
terms of enforcement, in terms of pemantauan semualah. Jadi the awareness for pekerja lah, I think is the most the biggest problem or the biggest problem lah when it comes to doing this project, the Sabah Labour Ordinance. One, dorang tidak tahu dorang punya hak lah. Bila kami buat TikTok atau social media semua, memang dorang pun tertarik, ya kah? And then they will actually come to us via DM kah, personal message kah, tentang dorang punya pengalaman ataupun situasi yang dorang sedang menghadapi lah di
Alami
tempat
lah.
kerja. Ya. Biar betul, ada juga masih 800 gaji dalam satu bulan, and the employer will ask them to come 6 days a week.
And that's a 9 to 5 job.
It's a 9 to 5 job, 6 days a week, tapi masih lagi 800 dorang punya gaji. And there's even a clause there in their contract, you are not under the Employment Act, any relevant labor laws does not apply to you.
And you do not get paid KWSP also.
Exactly, that's another provision yang tidak
Oh, wow.
diberi. So, bukan mau salahkan majikan juga lah. Mungkin dorang
Lack of awareness perhaps?
lack of awareness. One is
Yeah.
signing that, tapi so that is the main problem lah, and we want to focus kepada the public lah, the general public.
Right.
Kalau kau nampak begini punya kontrak, you must have that awareness yang kau sebenarnya kau ada hak untuk dapat KWSP SOCSO. Kau punya hak minimum gaji is 1,500 sekurang-kurangnya, dan a lot of these things dorang tidak tahu sebab mungkin this the best job I can get at this time.
Right.
Sebab mungkin juga
Yalah.
background dari luar bandar kah, apakah mau pergi KK. Ini punya situation di area KK juga nih.
Ya, reality dia lah kan.
Reality dia
Ya.
di KK juga ada lagi masih menghadapi ini punya terms lah kalau di tempat kerja. Jadi memang that is the biggest thing that we find out from all this lah.
Right.
Actually, so many people don't know yang apa fungsi JTK ataupun bukan mau cakap yang JTK not doing their part lah, tetapi mungkin dorang not aware that there are this relevant agency. Takut juga yang sebenarnya these are platforms for you to they will help you. Ya, kalau kamu tahu lah. Tapi itulah dari tahap kesedaran memang ramai lagi belum tahu lagi apa fungsi ini.
Dan hak-hak dia lah
ya,
kan.
dan hak-hak dia
Okay.
sebagai pekerja.
Pekerja
Ya.
dan wanita.
dan wanita juga.
Yeah. Maybe you can talk about the paternity leave for Sabah, because yang baru-baru ada satu viral tentang, and you were very vocal about it, yang pasal
si Exley
Yes.
His wife passed away kan.
Correct.
While he was at work.
Yeah.
Sebab dia memang company dia bagi 2 hari saya cuti bapa. And then the rest of it he had to take annual leave kah. Tapi bila dia pergi kerja, balik kerja, because you know lah, sebagai maybe because you know dia memang kerja begitu kan, we always have this perception about boss yang mesti ikut cakap boss begitu. So dia mau minta cuti pun mungkin dia rasa macam tidak sedap hati ke, mau tanya, and then he didn't know his rights, maybe that he can take leave. So when he came back from work, terus dia found out dia punya wife passed away lah.
Yeah.
So itu macam betul-betul kesian lah.
Very sad.
Yeah. But yalah, I just that macam saya rasa kan kalau dia ada cuti bapa lama sikit kan, mungkin dia boleh spend time sama bini dia di rumah kan, jaga kalau ada bini dia ada complication, dia boleh tolong terus bawa pergi hospital kah ke mana-mana. But he wasn't able to be there.
Yeah. But again, it still goes back to, kalau ada satu undang-undang tu yang betul-betul memberikan paternity leave, dan federal sudah ada 7 days kan.
Itu pun bukan senang dorang dapat tu.
Iyalah.
Kan itu pun kena bilang, nak payahlah bako cuti bapa. Kau nanti weekend pun you can spend time with your kid, you can bond with your kid then.
Yeah. Ada protes lagi tu, saya ingat lagi tu ya.
Kesian ba.
Yeah, during the last 2 previous government, if I was not mistaken. Yeah. But I think this is something that mungkin kita punya orang ramai di sana perlu peka terhadap, aware terhadap, we are actually governed under the, the provision under, we are under the purview of the Sabah Labour Ordinance, kan? And maybe, has there been any feedback? Or maybe, apa usaha-usaha untuk membawa ini ke Dewan Undangan Negeri daripada Serata?
Okay, so one of the things that we were macam sangat concerned lah kan, even though we're very happy, the amendments are supposed to be tabled in October, which is very very soon. Tapi masalahnya kan, we feel like it wasn't a very transparent process. Kebanyakan kita punya politician sendiri pun tidak tahu pasal hal inilah. Macam especially yang adun kita, diorang pun, I'm sure a lot of them tidak tahu juga ni kita sebenarnya di bawah Ordinan Buruh Sabah. Tapi a lot of the discussion is made macam about the amendments kan, it's made behind closed doors. Mungkin ada banyak employer juga yang in the past where there was a law that affected the people, the employers lah kan. Terus tiba-tiba kena suruh bayar ini, kena suruh bayar itu. Terus bilang, bila pula this law, I was never consulted on this. Kan? So we think it's not fair lah, because while it's a federal punya law, tapi kita orang Sabah pula yang has to implement, kita orang Sabah juga yang has to live through it lah. We are the ones who will feel the effect of the law. Kan? Jadi it only makes sense that kita punya representative yang tahu pasal ini, and then is able to bring up lah what are the issues in Sabah that we need, why do we need this amendment begitu. So we actually do have a physical punya petition to be brought to the DUN. That I don't think, saya rasa this is the first time lah, pertama kali yang ada sesiapa yang membawa petition kepada DUN. Sebab kalau di parlimen banyak sudah banyak sudah petition yang datang dari rakyat kan, untuk bawa pergi parlimen. Tapi di Sabah ni first time ada macam orang biasa kita ni lah, yang bukan ahli politik, yang membawa usul seperti ini kepada DUN. So kami perlukan seorang adun untuk bawa ke speaker lah, supaya speaker boleh tengok, dia boleh check betul, then he can put it into the aturan lah. Ya, begitu.
Aturan, okay.
So itu sajalah kami mau.
So I think dia ni perlu kita ingat bahawa isu bukan sahaja isu gender tetapi ialah isu tentang ini yang juga akan berkaitan dengan gender juga
Ya,
kan tentang
memang.
perkara ini dan juga hak-hak pekerja and ini adalah sebenarnya satu isu bipartisan ni.
Ya, memang. Everybody should be interested because ada yang macam like the federal punya law kan dia ada include protection for the women who are pregnant kan. So they cannot be fired lah or terminated from their work while pregnant. Di Sabah tiada tu. I hope no one's learning about that right now. But yeah, you can, unfortunately in Sabah you're not protected against being terminated while pregnant.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is an issue that it's not only, like for, it's an inclusive and a bipartisan issue. Whoever the government of the day is, this is something that concerns the people, the society. Ini orang-orang awam di luar sana.
Yeah.
So I hope that, with dengan serata punya, effort, usaha untuk memastikan bahawa isu ini akan dibawa ke Dewan Undangan Negeri, and I will also be looking at it too. I hope that there will be, kita harapkan yang memang akan diambil tindakan lah ini kan. Yeah. So maybe apa secara total lah, keseluruhan lah tentang gender, ketidaksaksamaan gender ini terutamanya di Sabah, right? Of course kita punya fokus ini, pembangunan kita ini lebih kepada pembangunan untuk wanita di Sabah lah ini kan, right? So cabaran kita di Sabah ini, when you mention tadi pasal di KK pun, Jennifer masih juga ada isu-isu yang wanita ni ataupun I don't know, yalah wanita lah kan, you mentioned just now yang tidak kena bayar gaji full kah, something like that, right? So kiranya ini isu kompleks. So jurang ekonomi, akses kepada mungkin terhad kepada pendidikan berkualiti as you mentioned just now. I think this is all the issue that we are facing in Sabah ini kan. Berbanding dengan rakan-rakan kita di Semenanjung, saya rasa kita di Sabah ini ialah kalau dalam konteks yang lebih besar jangankan bilang pembangunan kita bising, tetapi perlu kita ingat bahawa dia juga akan efek wanita.
Betul.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I see. Because kalau kita tengok, kalau jurang ekonomi atau pembangunan Sabah, Sarawak dan juga West Malaysia ini besar, secara tidak langsung ini juga akan dia domino effect, ripple effect kepada wanita juga, right? So, what is your comment dan dalam cara apakah mungkin kita melihat kekurangan pembangunan saksama di Sabah ini menjejaskan peluang untuk kemajuan wanita di Sabah?
Okay. Also, could you repeat in English?
Okay. Alright. No, so basically, okay, we cut that lah nanti. Alright. No, so basically what I'm trying to say is that, because this, how do you want to close the gap? Basically, macam mana kita mau merapatkan jurang, close the gap, because ekonomi in terms of pembangunan pun sudah berbeza. So in terms of women, like how is it going to be affected?
Okay. Okay. Kalau saya tengok lah in Sabah, because I live in KK kan, I see KK lah. Satu masalah kan saya rasa public transport kita babu tiada langsung, and then although we don't realize it, women are affected by the lack of public transportation.
Yeah.
Apa sebab? Because imagine lah kalau kamu seorang wanita yang macam maybe you're a single mom, kamu mau cari kerja, kau mesti mau pergi kerja di mana yang kau senang pergilah. Tapi without public transport, you're kind of stuck, in one area only. Unless kau hari-hari kau mau pakai Grab, hari-hari kau mau pakai, or you have to tumpang with someone, begitu. And then itu tidak termasuk lagi childcare. Mungkin childcare pun jauh dari tempat kerja kan. So I think one of the things we really need to do is accessibility lah. We need to really consider accessibility if you're gonna close the gap. But Jen, do you have anything?
This is in terms of closing the gap.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I mentioned also yang pasal gender equality or the inequalities that you're facing now di Sabah.
Right.
It's also due to the co-ownership of the issue lah.
Okay.
Yeah, sebab now when we talk about gender equality, we want to talk about empowering women to be braver, be more outspoken and things like that. Tetapi when we include men in the conversation, men and boys in the conversation, they too are able to paham lah apa isu-isu ataupun apa masalah yang we women face in whatever industry. Any male-dominated industry also, they are not safe in terms of the environment that is put out. The environment that is put out is not not safe and not inclusive. So I feel like that is one issue yang paling co-ownership of the issue. Yeah. So then both men also understand, okay, yeah, we need to consider the women because they are also a source of labor. They are also, mana tahu, need to be empowered and things like that lah.
So I think di sini women cannot be seen as a liability but as an asset Benny kan?
Yeah.
Like it's not a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I can see like macam yalah macam kita cakap earlier tu kan, naratif dia selalu kebajikan saja kan.
Yeah. I mean, when you consider that women's department is put under macam kebajikan lah kan. Yeah, that's why lah. So you have to compete with the OKU apa kan. So it's like you're seen as, unfortunately, the charity case lah macam itulah. Saya bilang kasihan dia, kasihlah dia duit.
Right. So as a closing lah, kita penutup kita pada hari ini, mungkin apa harapan Sabrina dan juga Jennifer tentang perkara bukan saja ini amendments of the Sabah Labour Ordinance, tetapi ingin lihat perubahan dalam masyarakat kita terutamanya di Sabah lah dalam jangka masa panjang, terutamanya dalam gender equality ini.
Okay. So gender equality, kalau saya rasa kalau kita buat program ke gender equality, jangan kita fokus perempuan saja. I know every time we put gender, terus perempuan saya datang, lelaki mungkin 1-2 orang saya datang, but in fact it is something that concerns them as well. They are also affected, and as much as they are the one yang macam holding the key, because they are actually holding the key for the many to finding a solution, because if we were to look at workplaces di mana-mana is male dominated ba.
Correct.
So the one way that we can bridge the gap is to engage men, to be allies lah. So I really hope yang nanti kita nampak lebih ramai kaum lelaki yang welcome mengalu-alukan women leadership. Yeah.
Jennifer maybe?
I mean what she said, but but more in addition to that, I think to take the issue ataupun gender equality as something that's like for our men allies lah, to have that open conversation yang okay, it's a true issue, because ada kadang-kadang I get questions, gender equality apa lah itu, jadi you want to be stronger than men kah? Or you want you want to be stronger, you want to be better than men. No, actually that's not what gender equality is. We want to work together.
Right.
And I think that's the only thing lah. We work together to create a more inclusive society. And that's all for me.
Right. Yeah. And I think, it also helps when we have more also gender responsive policies in the system too. Yeah, like what is, what we're doing right now. I mean, what you are doing right now, Sarata. So, thank you very much, Sabrina, Jennifer, dengan kita punya perbincangan yang begitu menarik sekali. Dan para pendengar, sebagai kesimpulan kita pada hari ini, untuk kita mendapatkan masa kritikal ataupun critical mass, kita perlukan lebih ramai wanita di dalam semua bidang, tetapi seperti yang dikatakan oleh Sabrina dan juga Jennifer tadi, di mana perlu ada satu landscape yang inklusif untuk memastikan bahawa satu sinergi between lelaki dan juga wanita ini dapat dicapai. Dan bagi saya mungkin ini adalah satu cara terbaik untuk kita mendapat society yang sihat. Right? Jadi ya adalah satu kuasa bagi saya untuk kalau kita melihat wanita ini juga bersatu hati antara satu dengan lain seperti yang kita cakap sebentar tadi lah, ya, dan membantu antara satu sama lain ya untuk mengatasi halangan ini. Dan ini adalah saya rasa cara yang terbaik juga untuk kita mencabar status quo dan membawa perubahan yang luas, right? So daripada kita melihat wanita ini sebagai satu beban ataupun kumpulan sokongan, tetapi saya rasa kita perlu membina satu persekitaran yang memupuklah keharmonian antara lelaki dan wanita yang seperti saya katakan tadi. So terima kasih sekali lagi kepada semua pendengar bersama-sama kami pada hari ini, dan juga terima kasih kepada kedua-dua wanita hebat kita ini yang memberikan input yang komprehensif tentang gender equality ini dan usaha serata untuk mempromosikan kesaksamaan gender terutamanya dalam amendments untuk Sabah Labour Ordinance. Jadi kepada pendengar kita di luar sana, ingat bahawa perubahan itu bermula sebenarnya daripada kita sendiri. Right? So marilah kita semua bekerjasama ke arah masa depan yang lebih sama rata dan juga inklusif, terutamanya di negeri Sabah Bawah Bayu. Terima kasih sekali lagi dan semoga kita berjumpa lagi di episod akan datang. Bye.